And we are live. Welcome to the show. It's your boy Stevie B with Hammer in the building.
You know what it is.
My mic too loud? All right, here we go.
Nah, you sound like
Um,
you have the voice of an angel.
Jeez, that's an awesome movie.
Yes,
Um,
it is.
anyways, we've got Dynasty news. We've got some new things happening, some new signings, some
Mm-hmm.
new. So we're gonna go over all that. We're gonna talk about a bunch of things. We're gonna talk about Minnesota. Are they gonna wind up moving up? Like, what's
Oh
gonna
my
happen with these
god.
QB situations here, and how is that gonna affect our rookie drafts? So we'll get into all that. We'll get into all that today.
What if I don't want to talk about Minnesota because they're trash and they're irrelevant? What if
It's
I don't want to talk? I want to talk about relevant teams, good relevant teams.
It's not just about it's Minnesota because of the quarterback situation, bro. Like
Because they
we'll get into it a
suck.
little bit later, but what if they move up and take McCarthy? Like what happens then? Does
This
McCarthy now go in front of Jaden Daniels and Drake May? Like does that mean you take McCarthy now before those other two guys if those other two guys go to worse situations?
I'll tell you
Right?
what
So
it means. The Vikings
there's a
still
lot to talk.
suck.
There's a lot to talk about. We'll get into it. PB Dubs in the
Sorry.
building. What up, PB
I hate
Dubs?
I hate the Vikings. My bad, boys.
Derek was good. Well, nobody cares about the Packers anyway. So,
Whoa.
that's
I don't know if you've noticed, but we're already a good team, and we just added Josh Jacobs and Xavier McKinney. So I don't know if you noticed that.
listen.
I'm just
We ain't talking about the Packers tonight. Isaac in the building. What up, Isaac?
yeah,
Diaz. What
my
up,
man.
Diaz? Bogey in the building as well. What up, Bogey?
Yes, sir. Bogey, what's
What
happening, bro?
what is goody? But yeah, we'll get into I guess some of the most recent news, and we'll see how that
Mm-hmm.
kind of pertains to Dynasty. What are we thinking? You hear about? Yeah, I heard about the Aaron Jones score. I'm pretty sure I like copied that link into our group chat and sent it out in our personal group chat. So yeah, I'm sure Hammer saw that.
No, as soon as I seen it, I decided to block the group chat. I think it's on mute at this point. I have no, I don't remember that ever happening. So,
This guy, Kevin. What up, Kev?
Kev, my man.
What is up? All right, Hammer. Well, what has happened? Let's take us through the first
Um,
thing.
So in the last week or so since our last show, we've had a couple of significant moves. A significant move happened today. We're going to touch on that as well. But the first one we got before since last week was Justin Fields traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. A very interesting move considering they already signed Russell Wilson and they shipped Kenny Pickett out 2 to 3 weeks after they said we're good with Kenny Pickett. They pick up Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. So a very interesting move in the quarterback room for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think it was a really good move overall, both getting Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. I know a lot of people were kind of surprised that he went there because they have Russell Wilson, but essentially Russell Wilson's a 1 year situation for him to kind of revive his career again after the
Maybe,
Denver
maybe
fiasco. Maybe if he
there
plays
were
well, you never know.
I did see a report where they said they might work on a deal for Russell Wilson for a longer term, but I don't see why they would make that decision right now. Like
Right?
why
No,
do that
no.
now? Like
There's
I
no
don't
reason.
think that
No.
makes
It's a
much sense
prove
to
it
do.
thing. Yeah,
But
it's a prove it thing. But if listen, and we said this before when we talked about the Russell Wilson deal. If Russell Wilson plays, if he replicates his numbers from last year, and remember he didn't play the final couple of games, so he could have finished with 30 touchdowns, right? And 10 interceptions, 38, 3,900 yards. Like, if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you sign up for that every single day. But the Justin Fields move was very interesting. And there was some rumors out there, not rumors, but like it was said that Justin Fields wanted to be in Pittsburgh.
apparently
So
they had a few deals on the table and he said he would wanted to go to Pittsburgh because that's where there's a chance to play. Apparently the other teams he was just going to be the bona fide backup like that they had
which
guys apparently. I don't know which teams they were. I didn't get all that info, but apparently there
yeah,
was a few different teams that they could have sent him to and they wanted to do right by him and there's a chance that he can possibly play in the future, I guess.
Now, what does that mean? Like you said, I guess just kind of bringing it full circle. What does that mean for Justin Fields stock? Because
What if
365 days ago, he was a
what does
first
that
round pick in a lot of drafts.
what
Like
does
he
that
really was.
mean? What does it mean in dynasty terms, basically, if you have Justin Fields? You're fucked. Basically. I mean, there's
It's
no
a good way.
easy way to
It's a
put it.
good way to look at it.
You're holding on to the hope. I mean, and just like Trey Lance, right? Same kind of thing, right? We like him. We like him kind of as a player. We
Mm,
want to give him a chance, but the NFL doesn't want to give him a chance. So does Justin Fields actually get that chance? What if Russ comes out and he's balling, like they're winning a little bit? Like what happens then? Like does a long-term contract, maybe, a 2-3 year come into play for Russell Wilson at that point? What if Russ shits the bed and isn't playing well? Like then Justin Fields comes in, right? That's the hope. That's what we hope for. But is that actually going to happen at this point? I mean,
I think the Trey Lance is not a great comparison just because like Trey Lance was never on the field as much as Justin Fields. Justin Fields,
no.
for all of his
Well,
deficiencies, is a way more proven quarterback
I meant in the
than
aspect of what we want as fantasy
okay.
people, and that aspect, like what we want, just did not come to fruition, right? He didn't get that chance. He didn't get that
Yeah.
opportunity. And is that going to
And
happen with Justin Fields?
and how crazy is it that Justin Fields is out the door and they go trade for Keenan Allen, they bring in DeAndre Swift. I mean,
And
it looks
now
like the
you've
Bears
got
could be
a
a little bit better.
rookie quarterback pretty much coming into the best situation that there's ever like almost been for a top number one pick. Like you
You can
you
make
have a
that
team now
argument,
with
but
some you have a team now with some weapons. Now
yeah,
obviously it's not the greatest organization, and how much is that going to be? How much is that going to
that's
go
where I was
into it?
gonna go
But
with it.
all right, you have Justin Fields now. What are you doing with Justin Fields? Like you can't really trade it. Like you're not getting nothing from him.
No, I'm
There
holding.
might be somebody that has some hope in him and might, you give him up. If you can get a first, automatically you got to give him up for
I
that.
don't
Do you
think
just take a
anybody's trading
second?
a first.
Do you just take a? Do you take a second? Do you just take anything at this point? Do you take a third? Do you just cut your losses, or
No, no,
we just
because
kind of
particularly in super flex leagues, like if anything taught us about super flex leagues and quarterbacks this
hold
past
them?
season, 2023, 2024, you better hold on to a player like Justin Fields because more likely than not, he's going to see the field for some meaningful action. And that's just going to make his trade value that much higher. So I think his trade value can go a lot higher than what it currently is. Obviously, his stock took a major hit, but say Russell Wilson
I
plays
see.
like trash or Russell Wilson gets hurt, Justin Fields automatically becomes a very, very viable commodity that you can either play or trade. So I'm holding Justin Fields. I'm not going to take 50 cents on the dollar if he plays and plays halfway decently with, as you said, a really good organization in Pittsburgh. Like, let's call it what it is. They've had some of the worst quarterback play over the last couple of years, and they've been making the playoffs. They're not relevant. Well, they are relevant by making the playoffs, but they're not just, a team that's 7-10, whatever. Like, they won 10 games with probably outside of the Jets because they lost Aaron Rodgers, some of the worst quarterback play you've seen in recent vintage. So they're a good team. And they added some defensive pieces. Now I know they traded away Deontay Johnson, but I still like Pickens. I still like Freiermuth. I like the two running backs. I would imagine that they're going to do something in the draft. They draft and develop well. They're similar to my Packers, where they have a good culture. They have a good organization. They're stable from the top, meaning owner, head coach, quarterback, not so much, but they draft and develop fairly well. So I have good confidence that the Steelers are going to be in the thick of the playoffs in a crazy good division. So I like it. I do like it for Justin Fields. I think he comes in there and he'll sit behind Russell Wilson. And another thing that we didn't mention is he handled the Chicago situation really well from a character standpoint, where he didn't point the finger. He didn't, trash the organization. There was a lot of things that he could have done that a lot of people may have done to show a lack of maturity. So I'm a fan of him being there. I think Russell Wilson being on the 1-year deal is good for Justin Fields. It kind of gives you some hope. You know what I mean? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But that was definitely a big move, and I'm pretty sure it surprised the hell of a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, you have to hold them at this point, right? We always talk about waiting for the right, the right parts and in time to make moves. So you got to just hold them for now and hope that the situation gets better, which it could. I mean, do we really have that much trust in Russell Wilson? I mean, yeah, he didn't play that bad last year, I guess you can say, but
I've
he's
never
going to be
been
on
the
a short.
biggest.
He could be on a short leash. I mean, if he's not playing well, I mean, the fans are going to start going crazy for
For sure.
Fields.
For sure. I've never been the biggest Justin Fields fan from the standpoint of I needed to see more progression as a thrower by year 3. Now, he did miss some games because of his style of play, and we've talked about that, and that's kind of a separate issue, but it links in, in a sense, because if you can't stay on the field, you can't develop that consistency. But he showed flashes. Like, don't get me wrong, he definitely showed flashes. I think he can be a successful quarterback with the right organization. I guess that's the best way to kind of bottom line it. But never been a big Justin Fields fan. But for fantasy purposes, man, if he was the outright starter in Pittsburgh, I'd feel fantastic about that. Like, if Russell Wilson wasn't there and it was just Fields' job to have, I'd feel phenomenal about that.
I mean, what about the possibility of him going somewhere else too? Maybe after this season. What if Russ does play well, right? That he has a
Well,
chance then to go somewhere else if they don't pick up the option, right?
they
So
have
does
the
he have a
option. I
chance
was
to
going to
go
bring that up.
does he have a chance to go play somewhere else after? So can we hold on to hope even if Russell Wilson does wind up playing well and Justin Fields doesn't get the chance this year?
So it'll be interesting because I feel like there's always maybe 4 to 5 quarterback openings on any given year that a team is like, maybe our quarterback's either getting a little bit older. We don't have a quarterback, like the Commanders, essentially that kind of situation where they had like a 5th round rookie come in and play and was okay but not great. We know he's not the future. So there should be. I mean, looking down the road, what are some teams that we could think of? Vegas. Right? Vegas is an interesting one. Seattle, right? Are they all
Yeah.
in on Geno Smith? He's not obviously not the long-term answer. So, the Giants, right? What are the Giants going to do in the draft? They're going to need a quarterback at some point. So there are going to be 4 to 5 opportunities. Now, whether that team is willing to pay Justin Fields is going to be the question, right? Because he's going to command some sort of relatively market value money, 25 million, 30
Or
maybe, something like
what if
that.
this year somebody gets hurt and there's a team
Yeah,
willing to trade him for him this year?
we've seen it. And listen, and I think Diaz brought this up in the chat that the Steelers only gave up a 6th round pick, and it's conditional as a 4th round pick if Justin Fields, I believe, plays 51% of the snaps. So if he plays the majority of the snaps, technically it'll be a 4th round pick going to the Bears. So
Mhm.
it'll be interesting to see what they do. I think they want to hold on to him because the Russell Wilson thing is not a certainty, right? There's no certainty that we could say Russell Wilson is going to play well. I think he'll play better than what they had, but that wasn't exactly setting the bar very high. So I think
Neither of them really, because right?
I
Neither
think
of them really. It's not like Justin Fields is out there winning games or like,
no, but the organization, like you said, the organizational structure was really bad. And
of course.
if the combination of Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph could get you to 10 wins, how do you feel about Russell Wilson and
That's true.
Justin
Yeah.
Fields?
Yeah.
So, I'm looking at it from that perspective, and they're just a
Mhm.
well-run organization. I know they haven't had a playoff win in 7 years, but they're never terrible. And if they had good quarterback play, like Ben Roethlisberger was terrible his last year or two, and they were still relevant, and they've been relevant since. So the organizational structure I'm a fan of, and I think that both of these quarterbacks can have some success. If they're playing consistently.
What are we feeling about Russ? I guess Russ's dynasty value. I mean,
It- It's not very
I'm not
high, but
comfortable at all. I'm not comfortable at all with Russell Wilson.
no, he's a QB3, like, at this point.
Oh, for
He's an
sure.
emergency quarterback. He's not anybody you want to invest in. Now, listen, if this was last season and all of the rash of injuries that we've seen to quarterbacks, he's worth picking up. He's worth, a late second in a super flex league, early third in a super flex league. Like, if I'm trying to make a run and I need that quarterback, I wouldn't be upset with it. I'm not gonna do it unless I'm desperate, I guess is the
And
point.
then think about last year, right? There was a lot of injuries. People went out to buy quarterbacks. You went out and bought Russell Wilson. you made it to that championship game, you couldn't even play Russell Wilson because that dude was riding the bench at that point. So
But that was a
there's
bit of a
still
different
even,
situation because
but that could
of
still
Sean
happen.
Payton.
That could still happen though this year too if he's not
Maybe,
playing well through
maybe,
half the season, towards the end of the season, and then they make a switch, right?
maybe.
So there's still just that fear, like you shouldn't feel comfortable with Russell Wilson. I guess that's pretty much what we're trying to get
No,
at.
I agree
If
with
he's your
that
QB2, like that's not safe. You want to
no,
hold
I
him as your
agree.
QB3, but at that point he's basically like replacement level. I mean, he's not even worth it. But
It's a tough call with that because there's just so much uncertainty. We don't know for sure what's going to happen or how short of a leash he's going to have, like you said.
Let's get to the chat here. Barry in the house, what up? Chaotic in the building, what's up? Diaz, Fields will be free if he leaves. Pick gets a 6th, yeah. Yep. Yeah, 51. Fields is going to win that job and cooking. We'll see.
It's possible.
We'll see.
So I think Russ is going to be the starter week 1, and then how short of a leash? Like that's what the real question is.
That's true. If they traded for Fields first, they wouldn't need Russ.
That's what I was kind of thinking, but
I mean, honestly, I don't know why a lot more teams didn't want to go and spend that. Like what they had to spend to go and just get Justin Fields. Like
I think so. I have a bit of a theory on this, and I've been watching, the ESPN shows and stuff. Is Russ Fields wanted to go to Pittsburgh, so it was limited, and they've always said that they wanted to do right by Justin Fields because I'm sure they could have gotten a 3rd round pick from some other team, but maybe it was a team that Justin Fields didn't want to go to. So that's kind of what I can see playing out was they probably went to Justin Fields and was like, hey, Seattle's offering us a 3rd round pick. Now it's bad for business from an organizational standpoint for them not to take the best offer, but I think they were trying to do right by Justin Fields. And that's kind of why the deal turned out to be what it was. And Pittsburgh probably knew that and was like, hey, listen, why are we going to give up more than we have to? Let's give him a 6th with a conditional for a 4th.
Yeah, said sell now, don't get Lance. He's on the 4th year. They won't take that 5th-year option. You'd have to take a cheap Geno Smith deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to disagree with that. You know what I mean?
You can Kirk over Justin. Yeah, I mean, Kirk can throw the ball. Like you've got some weapons that need attending
a
to
legit
and
quarterback.
Kirk
Yeah,
Cousins can attend to that. Like
I like the way you frame that, attending to. For all your London and Pitt shares, I'm sure you're excited about that.
I mean, but seriously, what better other quarterback on the mark who can sling it better? Like what other quarterback was out there that they could have got that could sling it better than Kirk?
No, he was the best quarterback available, and it's not even close. That's why he got the money.
Easy decision for them, and
and Kirk Cousins doesn't have the injury history, and he doesn't have the style of play that lends itself. Obviously, Kirk Cousins had the major injury last season, but before that, he played like 8 straight years or something like that. So, Kirk Cousins was the safer, better option, and it wasn't even close.
Yeah, for sure. Not sure if outright beat Russ. Yeah, I doubt it. I think they already said like Russ is the starting quarterback.
Russ is going to be the starter.
Unless something drastic happens, I don't see how that won't at least start out the season, that way. But yeah. Appreciate everybody in here. We got about 30 in here, so just smash that like for us if you haven't yet.
That's what I'm talking about.
Comment in the chat. Appreciate it.
We're moving up in the world. I like it.
4th and touchdown conversion last season. Look, Russ played well, but it just doesn't matter. Like almost at this point. And
I think I don't know, man.
People, I don't know, bro. I think he can still play a little bit, but I just don't think anybody cares much. Like it's almost just like they'd rather just go and find somebody else. Like, I don't
I
know. I
think
mean, unless you got to find the right squad. Like, is the Steelers the right squad? Like you mentioned before, the good defense, Tomlin always having a winning record, got, bunch of nobodies still being able to bring them to the playoffs. Like, is this that right spot where you need Russ? You don't need him to do like too much. You just need him to do
mhm,
like enough. And, with him playing for such a long time and the experience he has, other than throwing that damn interception at the goal line, um,
mhm.
like, can he play smart enough to take them somewhere?
I think something we haven't talked about either is Russ's reputation, right? Like he's developed a reputation as being a bit of a diva, a bit of a me guy, a bit
Sure,
of a,
yeah.
like he's
And
developed
is
that
the team
over
gonna buy in?
the right. So that's also another small factor, but something that's kind of trailed him ever since he left Seattle and probably was part of the reason he ended up leaving Seattle. So,
Mhm.
that's just another small slice of it. But when you put all of that together, how he was treated in Denver by Sean Payton once Sean Payton got there, how he played that first year when the expectations were pretty high. Remember when he got traded there, they were talking about Denver being a potential Super Bowl type team that was missing that quarterback. So,
Mhm.
his reputation has taken a bit of a hit over the last 2 to 3 seasons, and it'll be interesting to see with Tomlin, with that Steelers organization, if they're able to kind of, get the most out of him, I guess is the
Yeah,
best.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dia said Russ got benched because of extenuating circumstances. Yeah, yeah, for
He did.
sure.
He
Yeah, I
played
had Russ on my
well,
fantasy team. I know how well
relatively
he played.
speaking. It wasn't a ton of yardage, but he was solid. Like,
He was solid. He was. Who y'all like better, between who, Russ and Fields? Like, dynasty-wise, who do we like better?
oh, it's Fields because Fields has a rushing upside.
You
He's probably, what is he, 10 years younger?
you want the upside, yeah. I mean, whether either of them are gonna do anything, we don't know, but as of right now, like, Russ is the starter, but again, these are guys that you don't want to try and rely on as, like, your QB2s and your super flex spots, right? If they're your QB3s, like, that's where you feel comfortable, you know? If they play, they play. If not, then
Hmm.
they don't, but Ghost Monkeys, what up, Ghost Monkeys? Pittsburgh was smart. I'm trying to get the rest of these comments in here. Cousins raped the NFL. Pause. Yeah, I mean his
Oh, he did
agent. I've always said it. His agent belongs in like the Hall of Fame if there was one for
easily.
agents
You know, you
because
know, he's made the same amount of
Tender
guaranteed money
Lovely.
as Tom Brady.
Yeah, bro, that's crazy. It's crazy. He does only have one playoff win. That's like I'm
That's the
upset as
knock.
a Vikings fan because he was having a great season last year. Like I felt like we had, we did have something. We had a little momentum, but I mean, we haven't been able to get farther, so maybe it just is time to move on. But off topic as it relates to the Steelers, how do you feel about the Steelers possibly going after Jetta? Think it can happen? No, there's not a chance. We're not giving up Jettas unless we were getting like a bona fide like stud QB. And even then, like they had some good offers. Like apparently there was like T Higgins and 2 firsts or something like that. There was a few I think good offers, but who knows what's true and what's not. But no, I don't think we're getting rid of. I don't think we're getting rid of Jetta unless we're getting a good quarterback, and the Steelers don't have one.
No, and I
Um,
think that there's some potential there for Justin Jefferson to get traded because remember he's going to be up for a contract soon, and it's going to reset the market at the wide receiver position. And if the Vikings
no.
don't have a quarterback, I mean,
Vikings
you
would
face it.
fans, we would fucking revolt, bro. I'm fucking marching down there.
I- it's possible, dude. It's possible they
It
look
is,
at it.
but
They try
but it
and get a
only makes sense if we're gonna get a top quarterback. Like apparently they told unless we're getting Burrow, like JJ ain't going nowhere. So
I mean, T. Higgins
JJ's
and two
here to
first
stay.
round picks isn't a bad start, I
It's
guess.
not, but that doesn't solve the situation. Like we need a quarterback. That's the problem right now. He doesn't solve that. Like, if you were the GM, would you do that? Like, I don't got time to fuck around. I don't got 2, 3 years to fucking wait around. Like my job's on the line or the coach. Like, no.
Not
If I'm a
necessarily,
I'm
but
a quarterback away. I mean, we went decently far with Case Keenum when we had a good defense. We
oh
played
god, with
well.
the
We had
Case
guys
Keenum
around
shit.
us, right? I mean, you see what Brock Purdy's doing with the guys around him. Like, we've got some guys around. Just manage the damn game.
Yeah, but I don't think that what they currently have, and even if they draft JJ McCarthy, they're gonna have to pay they're gonna have to pay him. Like, and I
Oh, we're
don't
gonna have to pay
know
him. I know. This is
if
it
they
right
feel
here.
like paying him is, related to winning, right? Like if Kirk Cousins was still there, I would be like, all right, cool, we're still all in from that standpoint. So be very interesting to see how they play this out.
Hmm. Russ is a hoorah guy. People don't think he's genuine,
100%.
bro.
100%.
It's always been like that, and even
Seems
like you
fake.
hear his
Yeah.
teammates, like Marshawn is like, that was just my teammate. Like that wasn't my
Yeah.
boy. Like, it's just, and all of his teammates pretty much it's like that. And then he came out with the
This
whole fucking Broncos country, let's ride. Like, oh my god, like people hated
this
him.
this all started with that interception in the Super Bowl. This is where it all started. When he threw that interception in the Super Bowl, it was all downhill after that for Russ.
Nah, we're not. We would have traded for Justin Fields already. Yeah, we can't get a QB in the first. We're gonna talk about that in a little bit. We're gonna go over some of the more news, and then we're gonna talk about Vikings and if they're moving up or not, and how that's gonna affect everything. Sam Bradford, yeah, Sam Bradford stole a shit ton of money. That dude, shit,
Yeah, but Sam Bradford was interesting because
play.
I believe Sam Bradford came out before the rookie wage scale. So he got that massive contract. I think Matthew Stafford similarly, where they got those massive deals before that rookie wage scale. So that kind of skewed it a little bit, but point well noted, Diaz.
He couldn't stay healthy either.
No, no, he
Mm.
couldn't.
Doug in the building. Time for the neck cracks. Okay.
I think I
What up, Doug?
Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go.
Down for a Kerr because he was supposed to be a savior before 2018 and didn't do shit. Yeah, I mean, I know. Necker talk. Yeah, that's you and Hammer. All right, geeked
Yes,
out. Another
sir.
fellow Packer
Geeked, my
fan over
man.
here.
See, Geeked, I need you on here a little bit more often because
Russell.
there's way too many skulls that happen in here, and I need some Packer backers. Ooh, I like that. Packer backers.
Yeah, Russell was a funny one when they gave him the tape and dude was like, yeah, I know the place. Like,
On a
bro,
blank tape.
tape was empty.
Did you see the Johnny Manziel thing
I
when
didn't
he
see the
did
full thing. I saw bits and pieces and I saw clips of it. I did. And I saw him on the Shannon Sharp. He's been on a few things.
Yeah, yeah.
He's done a few. But yeah, interesting and good. And like he realizes, like he knows now how much he fucked up. So it's always interesting to see like, when they talk about it
After the
and all and
fact.
give the details and all that. So but yeah. I used to walk in a Tuesday practice smelling like a liquor store.
You know what
Oh
it was?
my god.
He came from a family that was well off. So he didn't like, and not to say that there are well off guys that don't, that do or don't care, but that was his whole attitude. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good. I'm just gonna go out there and fuck around, and he didn't last very
So
long.
it's too late. So it's too late. But all right, Hammer. What else we got? What other news we got?
Hollywood to the Chiefs.
Hollywood to the Chiefs. Yes, Hollywood to the Chiefs.
I believe that was a 1-year deal, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
I'll
1 year, I
bring.
think it was like 11 mil or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
we saw that Mahomes cleared space, right? They cleared some space with his contract.
Yep.
And we figured they were trying to go after somebody. There wasn't really much guys left really at that point. So I mean, between I think it was like Ridley, Hollywood, maybe at the time, and they're
Mm-hmm.
not paying Ridley. They're not paying Ridley that kind of money. So yeah, go with Hollywood, which I think is a good. I think is a pretty good signing for them. That some at least he's got another trustworthy guy that he can throw the
Mm-hmm.
ball to.
A deep threat,
Um,
like I don't want to say it, but he's a Costco version of Tyreek Hill. Still good though. Like, I'm still a fan. I've been a fan of Hollywood. He's only 26. Like, it feels like he's been around
he
a lot longer.
He has pretty much. He's been around a while, but he's always been. Marquise Brown is like a Brandon Cooks, like this underrated.
That's a
Nobody
good
wants him. Nobody wants to pay for him.
that's
Like,
a good
because
comp.
technically, like you could say he's probably worth a late first right now. He's on the Chiefs, right? Smart
Yeah.
people are not giving you a first round pick, but he's more worth in that second range. But like nobody wants to pay for him. You want him, but you're not paying that price. And that's kind of what I've been seeing like around is like,
So
go
just
ahead.
to just to kind of further the Hollywood thing, he played on the Baltimore Ravens when the Baltimore Ravens were the Lamar show, and he had
Hmm.
21 touchdown receptions in 3 years on the Lamar-led Ravens teams that weren't exactly known for throwing it all around the lot.
Hmm.
So he's very capable. I think he'll be fantastic. I think he's the perfect kind of drop him in there and work with Mahomes type guy.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think it's a fantastic fit. I think his value is really good. I still think he's more of a wide receiver too than anything, but there is those upsides for those, Tyreek-ish type games. And I think this will bode well for Rice and for Travis Kelsey because it opens it up a little bit. Now Kelsey won't have to see all that coverage.
Rice and Hollywood are both like they're not like dominant wide receivers. You know what I mean? Like,
They're
and
B
Mahomes has been
receivers.
and Mahomes has been spreading it around a lot. So I like it for them. I like it
So
for
do I.
now. Does that limit Rice's upside? Does that
Sure.
I mean
Sure.
he and we've always talked about it like they're gonna add somebody. Rice is not like the number one per se type, like that number one. But they'll bring in somebody else. He could still finish easily as a wide receiver too. I mean, we're talking about Patrick Mahomes, who could throw for upwards of 40 plus tutties in a season. So,
He threw for 5,000 yards without Tyreek Hill. So that tells you everything you need to know.
bro,
We talked about this.
uh-huh,
No,
absolutely. So,
I think he'll be a good value in startups as well.
yo, he'd definitely be a good value. He'll definitely be a good value. But he's going to start creeping up. I mean, we've already seen it. People are going crazy about it. So, I would say it puts Rice kind of where we've always had him in that kind of range of that, could kind of be anywhere from like, I don't know, wide receiver, what, 13 to 30. Like, it all just, it all could
I was
depend.
gonna
But
say,
now
I
he's
was
in
gonna
that range. He's
say
like a back endish too.
two.
Like, I
Yeah.
think he's like wide receiver 20-ish about in my rankings. And that's kind of perfectly kind of where I have him. He is a little bit limited, I guess you can say, but he is playing with Patrick Mahomes. So I don't know if you can really say limited.
And
Like,
I said this towards the tail end of last year where like Patrick Mahomes trusts him.
mhm,
Like we saw that as the season started to develop, and the Kansas City Chiefs were looking for a go-to receiver outside of Travis Kelsey. Rasheed Rice started to get a lot of the work, I should say, and he developed a trust with his star quarterback. Like that, I don't want to undersell that. You know what I mean?
mhm,
Because I think that's important. And
sure.
another year, another offseason with Mahomes. You telling me he's not going to get better working with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey, and then you add an experienced Hollywood Brown into the mix? I
Mhm.
like it. I like it a
Yeah,
lot.
I mean,
So
listen, there's plenty of yards to go around. There's plenty of touchdowns to go around. Like even we can say, I guess he's somewhat limited, but can we really say that? Because I don't know if we can say that. Like, what's the limit to what we've seen Mahomes throw? How many tutties in a season? I mean, granted, there's no Tyreek Hill, but we still seen him destroy even without Tyreek Hill. So,
yeah,
I think he's kind of in that like, I yeah, 15 to 20-ish
5. I was
range, I
gonna
guess
say.
you can say.
Yeah, I was gonna
15 to
say 15 to
25
25.
is like a goodish range, I would say for Rashid Rice. If you have him a little bit higher, like that's fine. I mean, we don't know, I guess, really, until it
No, but
happens. But
I
he's
still
just
think
not
there's
that
going to
type
be
of
enough.
yeah.
But there's still going to
I,
be enough for him to be on your roster on a week in
oh,
week
for
out
sure.
basis.
For sure. So doesn't really crazy hurt Rice because I don't feel like a lot of people pushed Rice all the way up. Like I think certain communities maybe did, but not everybody pushed Rice all the way up into that like top 10ish 12 range. Like, he kind of still stayed in that 15 to 20 15 to 24 I think it was basically like,
Hmm.
a few months ago. So, I think that's fine in the range that he's in. Hollywood now, does that move him up? I mean, it is only a 1-year deal, right? We don't what happens for the future, right? I think I put out actually it was a good time to sell Hollywood Brown because of all the hype, right? He's going to the Chiefs, right? He's going to kill. So now's your chance to go, to go and try and make a trade.
That's a legitimate argument you could make. And I think with Hollywood, because he is a known commodity in the league, that people get really excited. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
I, I just think people get really excited. So I think you could take advantage and maybe even package him with something else and kind of tear up from that Hollywood, with the perceived upgrade in value.
Mhm. Absolutely. Let's get back to the chat here. Crispy, what up, Crispy?
There he is.
That's good. We went over Rice's value. I would maybe a Costco Tyreek. Definitely a market compared to MVS.
Oh yeah, listen, MVS isn't exactly setting the bar very high. Yeah.
Rice or Reed?
We had this question last, I think, relatively recently, and we were talking about it. I That's a tough one.
It's not.
They're kind of in similar positions. You could say whatever you want. You could say whatever you want. Jaden Reed is awesome. But they're both similar positions now because you throw Hollywood in there, right? Kelsey's there. I don't know what else they may do at the receiver or skill position. And Patrick Mahomes has kind of been that equal opportunity employer where he's going to find whoever's available. So I think they're both in similar positions. I don't think that they'll finish very far from each other when the season's all said and done. So I think it's a push, to be honest with you. I don't want to cop out, but I think it's a push. I think Rice has a higher upside, but I think where they finish is virtually a push.
We're gonna go with the QB. I'm gonna go with Rice. I gotta
What are you
go with.
saying?
I gotta
What,
go
what,
with.
did you miss
I'm going with
Jordan Love?
Patrick
Or
Mahomes. Okay, I'm going with Patrick Mahomes. There's just a lot of guys on the Packers. I think it's a good time where Jaden Reed's value is still particularly high. That if you can move off of that, like we always talk about, can you tier up, take advantage of? Because what if Christian Watson comes back and now you got Dubs, you got Watson, like it's getting mixed around. Maybe Jaden Reed's more of a wide receiver 3 flex instead of that wide receiver 2 now. Now he loses all that value, right? Just
I
throwing it
don't
out there of
disagree,
what could
but
happen.
don't
It could also
disrespect my
happen.
guys.
It could also happen that Jaden Reed takes off and he's a wide receiver 1, which remember I was talking about last season, right? He kind of
You
was the
said
one
it.
that kind of came out. So is he going to continue to do that? Don't forget, like Christian Watson was hurt a lot last year too. So
But do you have confidence that Christian Watson's going to play a whole season?
no, but am I willing to bet on? Am I willing to make the bet on Reed if I can come off of him you know, while
Well,
he's valued decently high?
just to kind of further my point, Jaden Reed finished wide receiver 23 in PPR, and Rashee Rice finished wide receiver 27 in PPR. So there's not much of a
Yes,
separation.
he did
The,
last season, but Rice took a little bit to come along before they started really kind of getting him integrated and all that.
that's
Um,
fair, but
but yes, and then
I'm
then without Christian Watson as well. So that's what of course there's going to be variables to it, but in a nutshell, I'm still going to take Rashid Rice just because of how good that offense could be and because you got Patrick Mahomes. But
you know what's funny about that? You did not like Rashee Rice
I
coming out
did
of the
not like
draft, and I
Rashid Rice. I didn't.
remember you
I
were
did.
off.
I did not
Even
like
even
Rashid
going
Rice.
to the Chiefs, you were off.
No, I didn't. I didn't like Rashid Rice. I didn't like the value of him, and it took a little bit for him to come along, but he came along. Listen, Sky Moore was supposed to be that slot receiver. He was not. They wound up changing that, putting Rice into that position, and then Rice took off with it. So it is what it is. I was wrong about Rice. I'm not afraid to admit that. I mean, we hit her and we hit and we missed. I mean, we hit on Reed, right? I mean,
That no arguments
hit
there.
on Puka. I mean, we win some, we lose some. It is what it
No,
is.
I was just saying that the Rice thing was interesting, but it did take
Mhm.
Rice some time to work, and we've seen this with all these receivers, and we keep telling everybody this is especially these rookie wide receivers, you got to give them some time. You got to give them 8-10 weeks to get involved, to get in sync with their quarterback, get the flow of how fast defenses are, all that stuff. Stop laughing over there. I'm sick of your shit.
Derek said Wicks, Musgrave, Kraft. Yeah, I mean, I
They're
like
all
getting red zone work. I like it too. Like I'm not off of Jaden. Like don't get it wrong. Like I'm not off of Jaden Reed. He's just one of those guys that's in like one of those weird positions where it
right.
could go either way. And like, do you really want to make the bet, or would you rather try and add something to get something more proven? And now you minimize that risk. That's all.
So just to play devil's advocate, to your point, the Packers absolutely destroyed the Cowboys in the playoff game, right? 48 points they scored. Guess how many catches Jaden Reed had? 0.
It's like zero, right? Yeah.
0.
Hmm.
So to your point, and I do understand it. Obviously, I'm a Jaden Reed fan because he's on my team and he's awesome. Like he's really awesome. But to your point, like the Packers just spread it around so much and they have so many young, talented guys that it could be Jaden Reed for 2 weeks and then he could get nothing for 2 weeks. So the point is definitely understood, but you're talking about my guy, so watch your mouth.
Oh, I listen, I like the dude. It's just, we gotta be real when we're talking, when
That's
we're
fair.
talking
That's
dynasty,
fair.
when we're talking strategy. He's just one of those guys that last season was in the position of the Christian Watson, the George Pickens, where I was, you know, adamant on like getting off of those guys, not because you don't believe in them, but just because it could go either way. And when you have that opportunity when they're valued high, like just take advantage of that, right? Move
Yeah,
up.
yeah. It is what it is. Jaden
You
Reed.
take Addison or Reed.
I think I'm still taking Addison. I just he's more of a focal point of that offense than Jaden Reed is. You know what I mean? I think the Kirk Cousins thing, like the quarterback situation, definitely is a factor here. But I think
So
Addison is much more of a focal point of that offense, even with JJ and Hawkinson. Because you remember early on in the season, they had their full complement, and Addison jumped off the page. Now, that was with Kirk Cousins, so that's the disclosure here. But I still think it's Addison. And listen, I love me some Jaden Reed, but he's another cog in the machine. He's not really a featured player consistently enough for me to take him over Jordan Addison. And that's coming from a Packers fan talking about a Vikings player.
feel that. Yeah, I'm taking Addison as well. I think he's just more of a complete wide receiver. That can kind of he should be able to succeed really in almost any offense. I don't think he's a wide receiver one status. He's more of that wide receiver two, which we talked
Hmm.
about all of last year coming in. So yeah, I'll take Addison, but it's relatively like close. Like it's not
No,
automatically. I don't think Addison. I mean, I think it is Addison, but I don't think it's like that could
the
change. I
argument
mean,
could be made. I
that
just,
could
like I
change. We'll
said,
see what
and
happens this year.
and listen, Jordan Addison finished wide receiver 21, right? Reed finished 23. So the
Mhm.
separation, to your point, is not that far. But Jordan Addison has those 7 for 123 and 2 touchdown games in him. You know, he's had that a couple of times. He had a
Mhm.
6 for 111 and 2 touchdown game. And obviously, in the first half of the season, bro, the first 8 weeks, Jordan Addison was amazing. Like he had 2, 4, 6. He
Just
had
getting tutties. I mean,
7 touchdowns in the first 8 weeks.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah, Hammer was getting a little upset there.
I get emotional every now and again.
Put Reed on your block. I had Reed on. I just traded away Reed, I think. I've been trying to trade Reed for the longest, and then I had to take a deal that I didn't even necessarily love, but but I've been trying to get rid of him for months, and I couldn't capitalize. So, but all right, what else we got, Hammer? What's the next thing we got going on?
The old warhorse, Keenan Allen, going to the Chicago Bears. I didn't see that coming at all. They
Okay,
basically said, Keenan Allen, take a pay cut. He said SMD, and he was out of there. Like, that's exactly what he said.
he did.
So Keenan Allen to the Bears.
He really did. But yeah, Keenan Allen to the Bears. I mean, good move for the Bears. They're kind
Oh
of
yeah. Oh yeah.
right. They are gearing up like for this new QB. Like they're really trying to put pieces around him.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I
I
like
like
it.
it.
I mean, he's an older wide receiver, but he is coming off of his best season pretty much. So
Still productive, but he got to
Uh,
stay on the field, man.
he does
Down the
have to stay on
stretch.
the field, right? He is an older guy. Are we going to start to see that? Are we going to start to see him, get banged up a little bit?
But
Hammies.
I do like the combination of him and DJ Moore, though. I think that takes a lot of pressure off Keenan Allen have to be that 110, 115 reception type guy. So I
Mhm.
do like that DJ Moore's on the other side to take some of that pressure off of Keenan Allen. But he is older. He has gotten hurt down the stretch of seasons. And when he misses time, he misses chunks of time. It's not just a 1 week thing. He'll miss 3, 4 games in a row. So that's the only concern I have. But looking at it, from the outside looking in, it's a fantastic move if you're going to have a rookie quarterback and have DJ Moore and Keenan Allen
Mhm.
with a Cole Kmet who's really solid. I love that.
Yeah. I mean, I like it, but what are we thinking now for Keenan Allen? They go and get Caleb. I mean, does he have still that wide receiver one upside? Does he have that top 12 upside? Like, or is it more wide receiver two-ish with DJ Moore as well? Like, what are we thinking?
I think the perception is gonna be because it's a rookie quarterback and because now he is a little bit older and he has DJ Moore, who's a very consistent wide receiver on the other side. He's firmly in the wide receiver 2 range for me.
Mhm. And then what does that do to DJ Moore now? Like
I
his
don't
dynasty value.
it
I
it
mean, does
it
that
takes a
really take a hit?
It depends because if Caleb Williams is everything we think he is from a strictly throwing the
That's
ball
true.
type standpoint, I think DJ Moore will be just fine. There might be some more peaks and valleys, but I think DJ Moore will be just fine. But perception too, right? Like if DJ Moore goes out there in week 1 and has, 7 catches for 95 yards and a touchdown, the conversation's going to, change.
Mhm. That's true. That's true. Yeah, I think maybe you peg DJ down like a few slots maybe for now, but we'll see. I don't think it affects him kinda that much, and like you said, hopefully Caleb is what he is, but we gotta look at the bad side too, right? What if it doesn't go the way that we think it should go or will go, right? What if it's going bad?
Well,
What if
then
Caleb is not
obviously
playing well? What if the Bears are not doing good?
Well, and obviously it takes a hit, but at the same time, listen, the Bears weren't very good last year, and DJ Moore still finished wide receiver 6 with Justin Fields missing a
Exactly.
bunch of time and being
Yep.
in and out. And Justin Fields wasn't the most accurate quarterback, and he still finished wide receiver 6. So that
Mhm.
has to make you feel, I don't want to say he's QB proof, but you feel pretty good about it because of
It's
what he
always kinda
did,
been.
considering the situation that he was in last year and still put up what did he put up? 96 catches, 1,300 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Wide receiver
Mhm.
6.
Yeah, I mean, he's never really had a good quarterback, like,
No,
ever in
no,
his career,
no.
so he's always kinda done it without a good QB. Maybe now that, changes, so I do like it. I do like it for him. It's just Keenan Allen is the only part that does he actually really get in the way? I don't really think so, to be honest.
No, I don't
I
think
think
so
they'll
either.
throw the ball I think they'll throw the ball more. I think they'll throw I think they'll throw the ball, like, a lot more than what they were or what they did, so
Listen, if he finishes, he had 136 targets last year. If he's in that 125, 135 target range, just
Mhm.
fine.
Yeah, yeah. But what are we saying DJ Moore is worth, I guess, right now?
You're probably looking at an early second.
For what, DJ Moore?
Yeah, I
No,
mean, it's
he's gotta be in the mid to late first range, he has to be.
I
Nobody's gonna
would
give up a mid, so it's gotta be, like, a more of a later one. I would say probably super flex, 107, 108 maybe. I don't wanna even
uh,
give that up. It's more
that's
of
what
a
I'm
late
saying.
first, but it's gotta be in the first range, there ain't no way. Maybe you don't wanna
Depends,
give up you probably don't wanna give up a first for sure. I know I
right?
don't, but you're gonna have to if you're gonna try and get. Now maybe there's somebody that is panicking. I don't know. I haven't really seen it yet, but
I think once the draft happens and we kind of see where everybody's slotted and, the rest of the off season and the voluntary workouts and everything, plays itself out over the next month and change, then you'll start to see a lot more trend build as far as guys' value.
Yeah. Personally, RS, what's up? Sorry, off topic. I'm in a Dynasty Superflex League. My QB is Stroud, Richardson, Rogers, Fields,
Mm.
and Minshew. I have the opportunity to get love for Rogers and the 108 in rookie draft and Spears. Do I take love?
I think you're in a. mm,
Stroud, Richardson, Rogers, Fields, Minshew.
I mean, if you could get rid of Rodgers, that's fantastic. It's the 108 that's really but you're not getting a quarterback at the 108 in most super flex leagues.
What can you do? Can you do more with the 108 or Jordan Love? I would guess probably Jordan Love,
That's the
especially at this
question.
point. So, like, why do you even want to get another quarterback? I guess
Well,
is the
because
first thing. Like, what's the rest of your
Richardson
team? I mean, yeah, true. But
Richardson.
what's the rest of your team look like that you want to go up and spend on a quarterback? Like, I'm okay with just holding Minshew, I guess, right there. I mean, maybe you
Well,
go out
he
and
also
start
he
getting.
also he also
Go
added
ahead.
in he has the 107 and the 110, so that changes how you kind of feel about that. So I would be cool with that.
Uh,
Rogers in the 108.
and to touch on the Addison. Oh, hold on.
It's a little further down. He has the 107 and the 110, and he would give up the
Okay.
108 Rogers.
So he's got the 107 and he's got the 110.
I'm actually fairly comfortable with this because of the
I'm okay with
Richardson.
yeah.
Rogers doesn't mean
I
anything here.
mean, and you get love. I'll take it. I'll take love. I'll take love at the for the 1-8. And then do we try I mean, you gotta kinda hold on to Fields. Maybe, he gets some value bump sooner down the line.
And Minshew,
Rodgers, I mean, nobody wants Rodgers right now, but once the season starts and he's scoring points, like somebody's gonna need a quarterback probably. So
but I think that's a good move to solidify your QB room with
it's
those 3
true.
guys, and also you're getting value in return for a
I
guy
like it.
in Aaron Rodgers that you wouldn't be able to get probably much for anyway.
Because realistically, you probably gotta give up like a 104, 105 probably for Jordan Love. Like I think he's worth more of the mid first. Like I don't know if somebody's just giving him up for the 108. Like because like you said, Rogers ain't really worth much. So Gavin, what's up, Gavin? 12 team super flex start 10, 1.75 tight end premium. Give Murray and Achan and the 102, and you get
Jalen
Jalen
Hurts and
and
AJ Brown.
AJ Brown.
That's spicy.
Murray Achan and the 102. Not AJ. Swap AJ for Jefferson. Okay, JJ.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
JJ and Jalen Hurts. Yeah, I'll take JJ and
Yep.
Jalen Hurts
Yep.
for that.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
AJ is more. We're thinking a little bit more on that one. But yeah, JJ. Give me JJ and Jalen.
I mean, the AJ Brown thing is still interesting because you're getting the
It is.
stack. So, it'll be interesting. But yeah, if you're getting Justin Jefferson, smash it now. Get those guys on your team
Mm-hmm.
because those are cornerstones that you want to build around.
I'll take it. Jay, what's up, Jay? Appreciate you, Jay. Song in the building. What's up, Song?
Yeah.
Williams better be what he's supposed to be. Listen, all we can do is kind of hope.
I mean, the
I mean,
Bears
and it
got to
doesn't
get
it
this right,
doesn't it
man.
doesn't always go right, but when it does, I mean, you've got a CJ Stroudish on your hands.
See, I
And
right.
and and that's the thing that like we're going to talk about also, like when we start talking about, I guess, the Vikings and then the rookie draft, like what like people are so scared because of what happened with Bryce Young and obviously Anthony Richardson got hurt. We've seen, with Zach Wilson. We've seen it with plenty of dudes, right? Sam Darnold, where you're getting burned on these high picks that you're spending in Superflex on these quarterbacks. So are people just so fed up with it that now are we kind of in a position where you might see those three receivers come off the board before you see those other quarterbacks. Maybe I think Caleb still comes off like 101, 102 because he's going to a good spot. He's got weapons around him. Like you can feel pretty confident about Caleb. Like, can he still miss? Yes, of course. But I'm willing to bet on that situation. If you need a QB, you've got to get a QB. But then when you're talking about the other guys, right? You're talking about Jaden Daniels, you're talking about Drake May, you're talking about, right, JJ McCarthy. What happens if the Vikings move up, right? I guess fuck it, we'll talk about it now. What happens if the Vikings move up, right? What if we move up into the top 5? Do we trade with the Chargers and get 5? Do we trade with, apparently we have a deal with Arizona like on the table apparently. But we're trying to get into 3 or into 2. There's talk about possibly trading with Washington. There's talk about trading with New England, especially after we got like an extra pick for the KJ Osborne signing or whatever it was. So, do we move up and what happens then? They're talking about Drake May or they're talking about JJ McCarthy, right? The 2 guys that the Vikings would want to go get if they move up. So McCarthy technically is what, the QB4? And what if we do move up to 5? What if we do take JJ McCarthy? What if May goes to, May and Daniels go to Washington and New England, right? What does that do now for McCarthy? Does that jump McCarthy over those 2 guys because he's going to Minnesota? Even though we know those other 2 guys kind of have more potential and are like better quarterbacks, but I mean, we see what Brock Purdy's doing, right? I mean, does that just jump JJ in front of those guys in our rookie drafts? Do we take JJ instead of those guys? Or what if they take Drake May, right? Does Drake May now become that QB2? Right? And then you want to take him because he goes to the Vikings, right? Whoever goes to the Vikings is going to be the QB2, I think. No matter who it is, whether it's Jaden Daniels, Drake May, or JJ McCarthy, that's going to be the second quarterback that comes off the board.
Do you think that if that scenario plays out, that quarterback is the day 1 starter?
Most likely. I mean, what are we going to start Sam Darnold? I mean, I don't know. Shit. Whether they are or aren't, they're there for the future and they're going to get obviously their chance. So whether he's the day 1 starter, I don't even think that matters because he'll probably be in there before you know it. Or if not, I mean, who knows? But regardless, they're going to get a shot. They're not just going to not play him. So yeah, I think that kind of vaults that Vikings QB into that 2 range. I think it's a very realistic possibility, which is why I wanted to talk about it because we kind of geared up for it, right? Or what if we don't make that pick and the Giants take JJ McCarthy? Is that a better option than May or Daniels at those other 2 spots? Probably not. But then what does that do to the Vikings? Now, do we take Penix? Do we take Bo Nix? Like, do we wait to the end of that first round and take like a Penix, or do we have to take him at 11 because we still got other teams that need QBs too? Like, there's a lot of shit that can happen. Does that push Penix? That will push him into the first round, right? Does that add another quarterback to the first round now? There's so much shit that can happen.
That's what I was going to say, where there's so many variables to this particular situation that I think it's going to be tough to really judge it until it does happen. But the one thing I will say is I think the Vikings are they're in a weird position because they're at 11 currently. So they're going to have to give up a decent amount of assets in order to get up into that top 3 range. I think 3 makes more sense with New England, just because I think Washington really wants Jaden Daniels, and obviously we pretty much know what the Bears are going to do. I think that 3 spot can be there for the taking. If you go to 4, you're taking a huge risk in those guys not being there. So I think that the target should be 3. And then you figure everything else out from there. I guess that's the best way I was looking at it. And yeah, it'll be tough because if Drake May goes to the Vikings, I think he's still at QB3 because I think Jaden Daniels just has more dynamicness to his game than a Drake May, right? The rushing upside now.
Where's Jaden going? If he goes to the Commanders or if he goes to
let's
New
assume
England,
he goes
like,
to the
we still
Commanders.
taking Jaden over Drake May, who goes to the Vikings? I don't know if I could do that.
I'm assuming that Jaden Daniels is going to the Commanders. And what I'm saying.
Mhm.
I still like Jaden Daniels over Drake May in that scenario because of the rushing upside, because of the dynamic kind of Lamar-ish type features that Jaden Daniels has. But listen, Jaden Daniels ain't throwing to JJ and Hawkinson and Addison, so it's tough to kind of splice that.
Like, I mean, yeah, he's got the rushing upside, but does that actually help him more if he goes to New England? Like, obviously it helps because he's rushing, but he's got no receivers to even help him, like, really almost in the
Well, I'm
pass
saying
game, like, to
Commanders.
help him
I
come
think he's
along.
going to the
If
Commanders
he
at
goes
2.
to the Commanders, I don't know. I still like him, but if whoever goes to the Vikings is gonna be fucking interesting. How much do you want to risk with with Jaden Daniels? I still have him as my QB2 at the moment, but that can change, right? I mean, let's see what happens with some of these guys. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that we went and got that second first round pick, and now we can kind of combine those two picks together, move up, or wait and take a quarterback where we're at. But talks of the Giants liking JJ McCarthy as well, so this guy could go in like the top 5 picks, top 6 picks. Like we could have these 3 quarterbacks go.
I'm really excited for
4
this draft.
quarterbacks. I mean,
I'm really excited for this draft because essentially after number 1, we have no idea what's gonna. I think number 1 and number 2 are kind of locked in. I think Washington is taking Jaden Daniels, but really after that, there's so much that can happen that we're not sure about. And that's why I'm super super excited for the
mhm.
draft coming up.
Yeah, for sure. Justin gets no credit for DJ Moore's best year. Yeah, I mean,
A little
Justin
bit,
was the quarterback for most of the season,
most.
so he gets part credit for that, but didn't really do him much good right now, at least.
Mhm.
What if Caleb is Bryce? I don't know. I don't think so. He's very different.
Different playing
Can he
styles,
have a
and they're
Bryce
going
type
into.
season? I mean, he's not going to as bad of a situation. Like we talked about that earlier. He's going into one of the best situations that you can kind of ever go into, especially as like a first round pick, because usually that team is trash, right?
Mhm.
As we saw last year. So,
Yep, I agree.
but the Bears have made some changes and they've got some guys around them. So appreciate you, Jay. Make sure you guys smash that like, smash that subscribe. Also have the 107, 110. We went up that. Derek, appreciate you. He said he won the league. He made some killer trades. Good shit. Personally, what are some trades that you made? What was one of your best trades? I guess throw it out there. 12-team Superflex start 10, 1.75. Give Russ and Cousins and Andrews and Pittman. Get Deshaun Watson and McBride and Ayuk.
No, thank you.
Russ and Cousins and Andrews and Pittman. You're giving up that to get Deshaun Watson
Nope.
and McBride and Ayuk.
Nope, not doing it. No, thank you.
No, I mean, if you want to go younger at QB, I mean, you're giving up Andrews to get McBride, which, okay, I mean, he's younger. And then you're giving up Pittman to get Ayuk. I mean, we don't even really count Russ in this. So, would you rather have Watson, McBride, and Ayuk, or would you rather have Cousins, Andrews, and Pittman?
Cousins,
That's
Andrews,
really
and
what
Pittman.
that's really what it is. So, take the points with Cousins, Andrews, Pittman. Unless you love Deshaun Watson, I mean, I'm a Deshaun Watson guy, but I mean, I don't
Starting to
know.
lose faith pretty quickly.
He didn't play horrible last year. Like he's a weird situation because of like how he got injured and then like didn't really give us the full
The
season.
full
Like I didn't think he was like that bad. Like could he have been better? Yeah, but I mean, where was that Joe Flacco offense when Watson was in there? Like, it was totally
preach,
different. It was totally
preach,
different, the offense that they just ran in general. Like, are they gonna let Watson air it out like that? I mean, I don't know.
preach, young
So
Vic.
I'm okay. It's pretty even. I'm okay with either side. Like Just really, who are you convicted on? Do you really like Watson? You get the younger wide receiver. I mean, the younger tight end in McBride and Pittman, Ayuk. I mean, you're swapping that.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Moore's been through more coaching and QB changes than Jordan Love has had to listen to Rodgers' conspiracy theories.
I mean, yeah, listen, we said DJ Moore has never really had any consistency in
Window
that
25.
department, but
Give up CMC for the 107 and Josh Jacobs. Superflex 10-team PPR. CMC for the 107 and Josh Jacobs.
I don't think I'm doing it. The 107 is nice, but
In a
I
10-team, yeah.
I like me some CMC.
No, I'm saying in the 10-team, maybe you roll with the CMC side. I mean, I guess what's your situation? Like, are you trying to come off of CMC? Do you need to split the assets? I mean, it is a 10-team, so I don't necessarily think it's that deep where,
You want to give up the hammer.
the 107 it means as much, But what if Caleb pulls an Eli? I don't know.
So that's interesting, Isaac, because I did hear
A
some
while back.
rumblings. I did hear some rumblings that was a legitimate thing that they were kind of talking about, where Caleb was saying that he wasn't, if the Bears were going to draft him, he was going to go back to college or something like that.
Now, a lot's changed since then, right? I mean,
For
they
sure.
wound up getting Swift. They vamped up the defense. They went out and got Keenan Allen. So, there's been some changes there that make it a little more desirable. So I give him that. Trade Burrow for Addison, the 102, 112, 202, 208, 302, 401, 401. Add Purdy for QB and a Superflex IDP. Trade Burrow away for
Addison.
Addison. The 1-2, the 112, the 202, 208, 302. That's just a bunch of. And I
After the
got
102,
Purdy. You got Purdy for QB. I mean, what can you do with those other picks? Like, if you can turn those other picks into like something and transform your team, like, do you need to retool like everything? Do you need to rebuild? Like, I still like the Burrow. Like, I don't.
pairing him with Purdy, I feel like that gives you an advantage.
Yeah, I like the Burrow side.
Because with the
I'll
102,
give up Addison and all that for the Burrow. Like, yeah, give me Burrow side. Like, I'm taking Burrow.
because with the 102, you're most likely going to get, the quarterback to replace Burrow. So you're replacing Burrow with Caleb or Daniels and Addison. And then in the 112, it's, that's, I don't know. I don't know
mean,
if
like
I'm
I
giving
said,
up Burrow.
the only way that I would do it is if I can really do something with all these picks. Like, if you can tack them onto things, if you can move up, and get like into multiple firsts, like that's the kind of probably the only way I do it. Otherwise, and speaking of the disrespect of Joe Burrow lately has got to stop. I mean,
Uh-oh.
people are so fucking disrespectful. I've seen Joe Burrow fall to like the 1-8, 1-9 in multiple dynasty startups, multiple, and I don't get it. I mean,
It's
I know
better
the
for
guy was
you.
hurt,
That's
but that's just for me. That's just fucking disrespectful. And um,
Now,
and
do
I
you
don't know
think
how
it's the
everyone else kind of feels about it. Like,
Do you think
but
it's
I
the
mean, that's
combination
just
of the
that.
injury history and the T. Higgins situation kind of being in flux?
I don't give a shit, bro. We're talking about a guy that can throw upwards of 40 tutties. Like, we're talking about a guy that has Jamar Chase. Like, okay, he was
Eh,
getting hurt, but he's a quarterback and he's not a rushing quarterback. So, I mean, I think the injuries will be over, and I think he's just at a valuable like price right now at a crazy discount. Um, to where like I didn't think that was going to happen. Like, I had the 102 pick. Stroud wind up going first in this one league, and I took Josh Allen, and then literally Burrow went at the 1-9, like, which was crazy.
that's insane
Then I saw
value.
Kyler Murray go at like the 2-8 8, which I thought was a little late, but to each their own. But yeah, I've seen Burrow going crazy late right now. So if that's how people are really feeling about him, then I think we should be going out there trying to acquire Joe Burrow.
Yeah, we talked about Burrow and Burrow being a really good value and being able to take advantage of that perceived Burrow value being whatever it is, 107, 108, whatever the case may
Mhm.
be. So that's the advantage, from that perspective in startups that you can use to say, hey, listen, if I'm going to get Burrow at the 108 and swing around in a 12 team and have that extra and get 102, 103 value at the 108, sign me up.
Song said he's rebuilding. He wants Harrison, but I'd rather keep the Burrow and
Right.
Purdy. Like I'd rather keep that. I don't think you're getting enough
Agreed.
good enough
High
assets.
value,
Like you're
good
getting a
enough
few
value.
seconds, you're getting a late first, but I don't feel like that's enough for me
I'm going to need
to go
multiple
ahead and
firsts
to give up Burrow.
like
Yeah.
multiple top half of the first rounds
Mhm.
plus whatever. Addison's not enough. Addison's not enough. Like with a 1-0 with all those picks. Not even close.
Steve, what's up, Steve? 12-team Superflex start 8. Okay. Trade
Mhm.
Diggs for a projected playoff 2025 first, contending wide receiver room. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Pittman Diggs. Can't decide if I should pull the trigger. If I'm contending and it's a start 8, I don't want the late. I don't want a playoff first. I don't want a late first for next year. It's a shallow league. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. I'm keeping Diggs, especially I'm contending. You've got guys that you can build around, core pieces, Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, Pittman. So I'm fine with having the veteran guy, in a shallow league like this that could give you literally wide receiver 1 numbers. But Hammer, do you feel any different about this?
Slightly, but I
Go
agree
ahead.
with everything that you said in terms of you already have first of all, it's start 8, so it's fairly shallow for the most part for starters. So you have those top end guys, but also too, like hold on to Diggs because somebody's gonna need him. Like I think his value will go up at some point. So I think that you could get a little bit more, maybe something else to help your team. Maybe you need a running back, maybe you need, something, maybe a quarterback gets injured and you need to flip Diggs for a quarterback to make a playoff run. So I think Diggs is still a valuable enough asset where you can hold on to him and then trade him for something you actually need during the season.
Mhm. Yeah, because we're not. Nobody's scoring points right now, right? We know how this is
The
that
season ended and the
part of
season ended bad
the
for Diggs, so people are down on Diggs.
this is part of the dynasty season where everybody hates the old guys and everybody wants the new guys, and the younger guys and the rookie guys. So, now I don't think is the time to trade Diggs, even though you're still able to get a first for him. But I just don't think that first is very valuable in this particular format where you're only starting 8. Like, I don't think that's even a startable asset at this point.
Mhm.
Um, so we'll see.
For sure.
But yeah, I'm keeping Diggs. Team sucks in that league. Trying to. All right. All right, Song. But yeah, I need multiple like early first if I'm giving up that. Because if you think about it, Song, just having Burrow and Purdy, like you're gonna be in I don't know what the rest of your team looks like, somewhat contention. But if I'm gonna come off of one of those guys, if I have to, if your team is that bad, like I want more than one like star.
Mhm.
Now
You
it's
want
like,
you
okay, I
want
traded Burrow for Caleb Williams, and I'm hoping that Caleb Williams turns into Burrow, and then I'm hoping that my 112 and my 201 turn into fucking, Tank Dell and Puka. Like,
for sure.
so like a lot of things have to happen for that. So I would have wanted like I need more concrete. No, I need the 102, the 103, the 107. Like I need
Bankable
something
assets.
more. I need something
Mhm.
more than that. But listen, what's done is done. Now just try and move those picks, right? Add them onto some of your players. See if you can tier up. See if you can get, back into the first round with some of those seconds. So you've got some options from there. Can you sell now that 102? Can you sell the 102 for the 104, 105? Like, I don't know who has what. Like you still have some options. So just kind of surf around a little bit and see what you can do. What do we think? Cook, Bills, and Evans are worth rookie draft wise. Cook, some kind of second round pick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people really like him, so I want to say like early second.
Yep.
And Evans, Mike Evans.
Evans is tough because he's that older guy that we always
Got the
say
contract.
he did get the contract. It's only a 2-year deal. But he's the older guy, so people might try and lowball you. I'm holding on Evans, but I think at some point during the season he'll be worth a lot more. I guess that's my best kind of opinion. Similar to last season, right? He wasn't worth much. A lot of people were trading him a year ago in the off
Yep.
season.
Yeah.
So I think his value will increase. You're probably looking at mid-second right now.
Right now, like you're looking at a second round pick just because of the time that we're in. But once we get to the season and he's scoring points, you'll be able to get a late first from
And
somebody
touchdowns.
when
And
he's putting up
touchdowns.
points. So there will be a time where you should probably might be able to get a late first, depending on your league, right? Um, Otherwise, he'll be worth a second and a piece once he's, actually scoring points. So I think right now it's tough. Nobody's going to give up the first, especially with the combine that we had and everything. Now, obviously,
Draft
we'll get
coming
the
up.
draft, but people are going to love the rookies, so it's going to be hard to get a first. But
Yep.
where will Marvin go in the draft? Most likely Arizona, but that can change, right? I mean, now they're talking. I mean, and they could just be blowing smoke, but Neighbors, apparently Neighbors is a lot of, teams wide receiver ones, and it's not Marvin, or they'll take either
That's
or.
smoke.
So
That's smoke.
it is what it is. I think right now, most likely he goes to Arizona, but that can obviously change. What if Arizona trades out of that pick,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens then? Do the Chargers then get him at 5? I mean, do the Chargers trade out of their pick? Like, there's a lot of things that can happen. So we'll see. But I think right now consensus is kind of Arizona. Took Burrow at the 6th spot, yeah.
That's solid.
KTC 101 Burrow Superflex. CD at 10 is at 101.
No, he's saying keep, trade, or cut.
Keep
Those
trade cut
three.
CD. Oh, CD 101 Burrow.
So you could essentially put Caleb in that 101 spot.
Yeah, I mean, or
Or Marvin
Marvin. I
Harrison.
mean,
Yeah.
all the leagues are gonna differ, but in that order for me, it'd be I'll take Burrow, and I will take I will well
CD.
we're keeping, we're trading, we're cutting. So let's keep Burrow. Let's
Trade CD. You get the most for CD.
let's trade CD and cut the 101. I guess. Shit. The CD, I mean, he's costing a little more than the 101. At least I haven't been able to get him for just a 101. Been leaning to hold on to. Yeah, just hold on to him. Just hold
Mm-hmm.
on to
Hold.
him. We trading
Yeah.
Reed for Dubs and any rando first. Oh yeah, I'll take the first. I
Yeah.
think I just traded Reed for the 110 in one league. I traded him for the 110.
Well, first of all, he asked me. So if you don't mind,
I'm
I'd
just
like to
telling
give
you
my
what I
input.
traded him for because
He didn't
that's what I'm
ask you.
telling you, bro. I don't
He asked
care.
me.
I don't care. We're talking about Jaden Reed. So
I do have Jaden Reed, by the way, in our
do
subscriber
you?
league. So no, I actually have Dubes.
Okay.
I don't have Reed. I have Dubes. So
I'm
yeah,
taking
I
the
would.
first.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree. Just because the separation between Reed and Dubes isn't going to be that great, and then you get a first on top of it. Yeah, I would do that.
There you go.
I
Oh,
wouldn't love it.
someone said I couldn't sleep that night. I immediately regret.
Sometimes it's good to sleep on the trade, and then kind of.
Hmm.
I know a lot of guys put that exploding, a time limit
Or
on those trades, so you kind of have to make a decision. But
and you know what I do sometimes too is I ask myself the question as if it's like coming from somebody else.
the reverse,
Yeah, like a
yeah.
reverse psychology type shit, just so I can kind of, all right, am I fucking thinking clearly here or
Looking
what?
at it from different angles, a different
Hmm.
perspective for sure.
Last one in this draft with other notable RBs to look out for in the draft besides Corman Brooks, and where do you think the RBs listed? Where do you think the RBs listed should be drafted? I mean, the RB situation is crazy tough. Like it's all going to matter what happens with this draft capital. But let me see if I can pull up my running back rankings that I got over here. Shit. I'm not in love with Corum. Like Corum is like my RB6 right now. Like I've got Brooks, Jalen Wright, um, Trey Benson, Marshawn Lloyd, Braylon Allen. Then I have Blake Corum, right? And then you've got like the Bucky Irving, Ray Davis, Isaac Guerrero, Will Shipley. I'm starting to like a little bit more. I think he's going to get good draft capital. Bucky Irving wasn't really great at the combine, so I don't know what that's going to turn into in the draft. But they're the running backs, especially, like it's just the situation that they go into, the scheme that they're going into, like all that's going to really matter, like and matter a ton. But I really like Jalen Wright because I think just the role that he can cut out on a team. Trey Benson, can he be a 3-down back? I mean, people are trying to compare him to Brees, but Brees had like way more production. Like Benson didn't crack 1,000 yards, and like why? Like why wasn't he the workhorse? Like why couldn't he do that? And that's just looking at the bad side, right? Obviously, he can do things and he can run really well and he can play, but just kind of picking the devil's advocate side of it when you're going to the NFL, like this is very different. And you couldn't do it in college. Like, can you do it in the NFL? We don't know. Marshawn Lloyd is a guy I like too. Braylon Allen, they say, is like a Derrick Henry. I mean, a huge dude, but a little bit slower. But the worry with Braylon Allen is we've gone away from that day and age, right? You're not getting 20 plus carries. And he's a guy that needs that, So is a team going to be willing to give Braylon Allen that kind of work? Now, the good side about he's only 20 years old, right? He's an extremely young guy. He's been productive in college. So like it's going to be the draft is really going to is really going to determine kind of, who to put ahead of who, because I think it's just a big kind of mush right now for me. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question there. Got the 101 for you song. There you go. There you go. All right, Hammer, take us into what other news we got?
Mikey Williams to the Jets today. Got cut by the Chargers. Ends up in the Jets pretty quickly. So
yes, Mikey Will to the Jets. What are we feeling about that?
I mean, we in our home group chat, we were kind of talking about it a little bit, and I like it from the standpoint of it gives Aaron Rodgers somebody opposite Garrett Wilson to feel comfortable with, another veteran guy. Alan Lazard clearly not the dude for that role, and Mike Williams is a proven guy, but is he going to stay on the field? He's going to be approaching. He's in his age 29 season. He's a fantastic red zone and deep target, which I do like, and I feel like it'll take some of the heat off of Garrett Wilson. But I don't know if I can rely on him enough to stay healthy on the field. And he does have games where he disappears, like where you just can't find him. So how quickly does he mesh with Aaron Rodgers? Is he going to be on the same page with Aaron Rodgers? But if you're looking at it in a vacuum, it's a good move. But I'm going to need to see it first before I feel really comfortable with it. 1 year, $15 million.
Well, I mean, when you've got Garrett Wilson on the other side, I mean, Mike Will can be just that deep threat, and we know that Rodgers can sling it. So, the main thing is he going to stay healthy? The guy never has been. I mean, it's crazy if you look at some of the injuries that he's had. Like, and this
Played
goes back
16 games in the last 2 years.
Just listen to this. This goes back to like 2017. So back vertebrae disc hernia, cervical neck fracture, knee bruise, and we're going into 2019 now. Back lower lumbar, shoulder AC joint, hamstring 2, another lumbar sprain, ankle grade 3, another ankle sprain after that. Now the knee ACL. I mean, if you go on Draft Sharks, they've got Mike Williams here. Very high injury risk. Chance of injury in 2024, 80%.
It's crazy.
Which is nuts. But yeah, I thought that was wild when I don't know how I even came across this, but That was
Yeah,
I thought
I,
that
I
was
think
pretty
it's
funny.
I think it's a good move, like I said, on paper
But it
and
is.
in a vacuum. But there's still some questions to be answered, whether Mike Williams could stay healthy, whether Aaron Rodgers trusts him in critical situations, right? You can't throw it to Garrett Wilson every single time.
Mhm.
So it remains to be seen. But Mike Williams is a true boom or bust type guy, and he'll have some boom games, especially if he's connecting with Aaron Rodgers on a deep ball.
Mhm.
And I think he's worth a flyer if you got, you're late in your draft and you want to take a bit of a flyer, because we've seen he can string together some dominant type games. Like, he can have that. But it's just too few and far between for me to feel absolutely confident that he's going to be a week in, week out starter on your fantasy team.
Mhm. For sure. Oh, Iron Man said, I know she didn't really mention Brooks. Well, I think when you asked, you said besides
Outside.
Corum and Brooks, so that's why I didn't bring him up. But Brooks is my RB1. I don't care that he tore his shit. I really don't, because I think that it speaks a little bit to the fact that like he got injured like that, and he's still going into the draft. Like, so,
Hmm.
his agent or the people that he's going to, like, has got to be telling him that the NFL really likes him. Otherwise, he would stay, right? Like, that's my big thing, because you could still stay, make money, get a name for yourself, and maybe you come out next year stronger. But the fact that he's still coming out kind of just makes me think that the NFL likes this guy. He's a guy that looks like he can handle that 3 down workload. For me, he's easily the best guy in the class. So I really don't care that he's injured. He's still going to be my RB1, but obviously things can change with, where people go. I think that whoever goes to Dallas, right? Whoever Dallas takes on their second round pick, which they most likely will take a running back, at least I think, because they have like nobody else there. Whoever that running back is going to be vaulted. That's going to be like that RB1 that comes off the board, right? I think automatically people are going to vault to that, and that could enter into the back end of the first round of rookie drafts. If the Cowboys do wind up taking a running back, that early with that kind of capital. So, but yeah, I love Brooks. Corum, like I said, I'm a little lower on Corum than some. He's more in my RB 5, 6 ish range. I just don't know how the game is going to how he's going to translate into the NFL. He's a great like runner. He's a patient guy, which I like, but is he going to find himself in the right scheme? And last year, like, he wasn't that like good efficient wise. Like, he wasn't breaking a ton of tackles. He looked different. And was that because of the injury that he sustained the year before? And now maybe he's a year removed from that, and now he's going to get back to his normal self. I don't know. There's still some questions there, so we'll see what happens. But Steve said contending teams sit tight with Kittle, Goddard at tight end, or risk moving a younger running back, wide receiver asset, White, Pittman level to go after Kincaid, half PPR, start 8.
Tight end premium.
Doesn't look like it, so I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I think you're good with Kittle and Goddard. I don't think it's worth giving that up. Now, I think Kincaid's going to have a really solid season, but I don't know if it's worth it to make that jump to give up that asset in a very shallow. Well, it's not as shallow, but I just don't know if it's worth it. I think you're good with those two guys, to be honest with you.
Or do you have maybe some depth pieces on your bench that you can add on? I mean, it is a start 8, so depending on, like, the rest of your starting lineup, I mean, you could make the move to go after Kincaid. If you've got some assets to give up, then I'd be okay with it, but I don't wanna give up White or Pittman for Kincaid, no. Unless it was like a full point, tight end premium, then no.
And that's kind of why I asked if it was
I
tight end
took,
premium. That would
speaking of,
change.
in one of my drafts I'm doing now, I took Laporta in the early 3rd round of this dynasty startup on a 0.75 tight end premium.
That's nice.
And if you go and just if you do the math of it, right, just look at the points. I mean, he would have been like wide receiver 5 if you compare to wide receivers. So at a certain
Porter's
point,
also
once those top guys are gone, I'm like, okay, Laporta kind of makes sense here. Like, so anyway, I did something I kind of never do. I took a tight end that early, but I felt like it was the best move to make at that time.
from a value standpoint, I mean, the guy had 86 receptions as a tight end, and you think he'll get a little bit better. 120 targets. Give me all of that. 10 tutties.
Mhm.
Give me all of that.
No, Crispy. I don't think that that Caleb is automatically the 101 no matter what. I don't think that it's as easy, especially nowadays, to like move on from like the 101 to the 102 or the 103. Like people just don't care now. They'll just call you on the bluff, like, all right, go ahead and take the quarterback. Like,
Hmm.
so if you have the 101 and you have a good quarterback situation, I'm fine with going Marvin Harrison. I'm doing that in one of my leagues myself. And in another league, I'm taking Caleb. So I think it just
Yeah.
depends on what you need. I'm okay with going either or.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's just based on the makeup of your roster and what you actually need. Most teams are going to go for the quarterback regardless. I would lean towards the quarterback just because in a super flex, there's more value to be held there with that taking that quarterback. So, you might be able to draft Caleb and move him if you really feel like that and get tremendous value. So, I'd lean Caleb, but listen, if you got say you got Joe Burrow and CJ Stroud, then it's a question. I'll go off to Marvin Harrison and lock up my wide receiver.
Mike Will equals Gabe Davis.
I
I
could see
like
that.
Mike Will more than Gabe Davis.
I
I
do
mean, I
too,
think
but
he is kind of those boom bust kind of thing, but I think Mike Wills it could play more than Gabe Davis could. Give me Mike Will.
you just hate Gabe Davis.
I
You just
do. I
hate him no
mean,
matter
I
what.
do. But I mean, listen, Mike Will can't stay on the field either. I mean, that dude is a walking blue tent. I mean,
That's funny. That is funny.
Iron Man said second round or earlier in a 10 team. In a 10 team, who second round or earlier in a 10 team?
I think he was talking about the running back.
The running
Brooks.
back?
Brooks, I think he was talking about.
Superflex, if it's a 10 team, I mean, probably not. I mean, it all depends how deep is the league. I mean, it is only a 10 team, so it's relatively going to be shallow. I think it just matters where these guys are going to land. You're going to have to wait for the draft to come, to come first. So, but I don't expect any of these guys to be like, you know, maybe there's one or two guys that can be like the main dudes, but I don't really see that anywhere. So it's tough. Right now, I would say second round for any running back until we get to the draft. I mean, if you got some guys that are drafted in the second round or get that draft capital, then that can change things. But until we know, it's hard to say right now, Iron Man. No tight end premium, Steve says. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going crazy for it. Unless, like I said, you've got some assets on the bench you can just give up. Not for Kincaid, maybe McBride. I mean, they're both going to be expensive unless you can get one for cheaper. But if you need a QB, then you're definitely going Caleb Crispy. You're definitely going Caleb. Or can you move that 1-1 for somebody more proven? I mean, like we saw Joe Burrow moving down the board. I mean, can you get Joe Burrow? Like, yeah, I'll take Joe Burrow. Absolutely.
Justin Herbert.
You know, Justin Herbert, I seen fall to the two. Oh my God, the 2-4 in this last one the one that I'm in right now fell to the
There's
two
good value
four.
there.
Um, yeah. What else we got, Hammer? Any other news we didn't hit yet?
Yeah, I got one more thing. I think this just came out today. So the Browns obviously traded for Jerry Judy and they extended him 3 years, 58 mil, 41 of
It's
that guaranteed. I did
it
not see
just
that coming.
they don't give a fuck. Deshaun Watson, come on over. Jerry Judy, you haven't done jack shit. Here you go. The
Yep.
fuck.
Yep. Yep. So I think that was obviously notable from a fantasy perspective and something that we definitely needed to kind of, talk about a bit. I don't know what it means per se for fantasy. I was high on Jerry Judy going into last year and that blew up in my face. But he'll be there for a decent amount of time, but I'm very surprised he got this amount of money for doing very little on the field.
Mhm. Yeah, I was very surprised. I didn't know what they were. I don't know why they did that. Like, why you don't even have to do that now? Like, does this guy even make it through training camp, bro? I mean, he's another one, a walking blue tent. I mean,
That's a
hasn't been
fact.
able to stay healthy at all. We've been waiting every single year. Okay, the Judy breakout's coming, the Judy breakout's coming, and it
It's
doesn't
going
fucking
into his 5th
happen.
year.
So how much longer are we gonna wait or bet on it? Now he got the contract, so that makes you somewhat feel good about it, but you don't feel good about it. Like,
I know.
can you get him for cheap? I mean, I'll take him for cheap. I mean, but what's cheap? Like, I don't even know. Like, do you even want to spend a second right now on a guy like Jerry
I was
Jeudy?
gonna say I was gonna say, like, early 3rd, late
So the
2nd.
but
That's where
nobody's
I was
giving him
going.
up for that. That's the thing.
I
So,
don't get it.
I don't know. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. What does that do for his dynasty value? I mean, he got the contract, so automatically his dynasty value is going to just go up. But how much do actually we believe in it?
He's still a
You know,
flex
it's
play.
almost
He's not.
easier like to just buy into it if it is working. Like, because I don't think he's still gonna. I don't think he's gonna cost that much, even if he does start playing, decently well in the season. So I'd
Yeah,
wait to see it before I'm buying. I'm not buying. This is the opportunity where you can sell them. This is that one of those small sell window opportunities that you have for Jerry Jeudy again, right? Because last year we did the same kind of thing, right? We had that big window where we can sell him. People are on him. He's going to make his comeback. Now you have the actual contract excuse for it. Now's your chance to
and he's on a
come
new
off if you
team,
can.
and he's in a new situation,
You
so
know.
maybe people think that will be the impetus for him to kind of find it. But also too, like, there's questions at quarterback. Like, is Deshaun Watson going to return to form? Like, there's a lot of moving parts with the
Hmm.
Cleveland Browns.
Yep. 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 Who's Herbert throwing to? Right now, he's throwing to fucking QJ and Joshua Palmer
And
and
that's
whoever they draft,
basically it.
whether it's
Hours.
Neighbors or Odunze or Bowers, or we'll see. We'll see what they do, but
I think now, do you think with them trading, obviously Keenan Allen and releasing Mike Williams, do you think that assures them that they're going to draft a skill, like, that opens it
oh
up
yeah,
where they're
oh
certain
yeah,
to draft that skill position guy?
yeah. I think they're definitely drafting a wide receiver, or a tight end, maybe if they move back. I don't know exactly what. Obviously, we don't know what they're gonna do, but I mean, for Herbert's short term prospects, like it sucks. But it'll come back up. Like, we know Herbert's a pretty good quarterback. Now obviously a whole new offense, everything, new coach coming in. Like, there's a lot of changes, and we can have a whole episode on, I guess, talking about Justin Herbert. So we won't go crazy into it. But I mean, I guess what's your just initial kind of thoughts on Herbert? Obviously, he's fallen in rankings. He's got no wide receivers. Like, what are we thinking dynasty wise?
I think now's a good time to buy,
Hmm?
to be honest
Buy
with
the
you.
dip, buy the dip,
Yeah, I think
or
now's a
temper
really good time.
expectation.
Yes, to a degree. I think that listen, at some point they were going to need to overhaul that skill position group between Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Austin Eckler, and they essentially did it in one off season.
Mhm.
And I think with it happening so quickly, that now they have a chance to actually build that room up, right? With QJ, obviously Josh Palmer, they're going to need somebody to handle the rock from the backfield. Obviously, Austin Eckler's production from the backfield goes out
Gus
the
Bus,
window.
Gus Bus.
Oh God, don't start that nonsense. But yeah, I would be in a position to go out and buy Justin Herbert on the cheap, relatively speaking, to what he was costing a year ago, 2 years
Mhm.
ago. So yeah, that's the position I would be in. But like you said, I think what you said about tempering expectations is important because he's going to be working with a bunch of, young, inexperienced guys that he doesn't have, hasn't worked with outside of Josh Palmer. And we know
Mhm.
Josh Palmer is not a number one type guy.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? Remember I went on like that QJ rant a few weeks ago, and then like in the next couple of days, like he's the only wide receiver that's there.
You insider trading. You knew something was going to happen. That's my theory on it. You knew exactly what was going to happen. That's why you were on your QJ shit.
People are just so quick to jump off of a guy that he was raw coming in. Like, we knew that. I'm not gonna go into another rant right now, but he was a guy that we knew needed some work. A guy like Keon Coleman coming in this year. Like we know he's a little bit more raw. Like he's going to need a little bit of work. So it
Mm-hmm.
might not be that first season that he comes along. Now all the metrics on Quentin Johnson were absolutely shit. So like nothing is pointing to that he is going to be, successful or do well. It's more, a
True.
lot more lower percentage now, especially after that first season. But is he just going to take a little bit longer? I mean, we'll see what happens coming into this year. Obviously, he's got another chance. But maybe they'll use him correctly. That was another thing we always had talked about as well. But Tyler, Dak, A-Rod, CMC, Saquon, Rashard Connor. Okay, this was that team. Any tips on the moves all in next year? So presently sitting tight. CMC, Saquon, Rashard Connor, Amon Wilson, Pittman Diggs, Gabe Davis. No, I mean, you don't have really, there's nothing really that you could do. I mean, I would just kind of hold tight where you are, I think, right now. You're
I like
fine.
that wide receiver room because you have it built nicely, and with Kyler and Dak, you feel pretty good about that. And then the running backs are fucking really good. That's clearly a win now
Good
team.
quarterbacks. You got core wide receivers that you can kind of, depend on at least for years to come. And then you got got some of those hammer running backs. So I like it. Reed or Dubes in a 204. I'll take the package.
Of course you will. Give me Reed. If I get the back end one, then I'll take it.
He's probably about to send that to you right now.
I have Dubes.
If you would have said yes.
Maybe. Hold on. Let me see.
Mims now, I don't know. I mean, there's a chance, but I'm not betting on it. Check your inbox. Yep, I told you.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to do.
Oh shit! Appreciate you, Steve. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Anything else we didn't touch on before we get out of here? I think we pretty much touched on everything.
Yeah, that's pretty much. Those are the main ones that I had.
All right. Well, guys, throw any last questions you guys have in the chat. Appreciate everybody coming out tonight.
Did we talk about Ridley?
Smash the like for us. Smash the subscribe. Did we talk about him last week or no?
I don't remember.
Well, no, I don't think so. I mean, we could touch on Ridley real quick.
Going to Tennessee?
Yeah.
Did we talk about that?
Go ahead. Let's touch on it quick. You got what do you got? 4 years, like 92 or something. What was it?
Yeah. 4 years. I mean,
oh yeah, I think we did touch. Like, why wouldn't they just pay fucking AJ Brown if they're gonna do that? I mean,
that's what a lot of people.
Ridley doesn't cost that much. You shouldn't be paying that much for him, for Ridley. Like,
he got 4 years, 92, 50 mil guaranteed.
I mean, just going after the money. I mean, Titans were probably the only dumbass team like that would offer him some shit like that. Because who the fuck wants to go to the Titans? I mean, that's where we always say like that's where receivers go to die. But to be fair, most of those receivers are old as shit when they do die there. So
Ridley's getting there.
God, I don't know.
29.
But yeah, I mean, what does that do for his dynasty value? I guess it boosts him up a little bit because he got the contract, so people automatically are gonna he's got the contract. I mean, he goes to the Titans. It's not a great offense, but is it going to be decent? Like they got Pollard, they got Spears, like they're trying to on Levis with some with some guys.
Could be okay. I'm not in love with it, but
I mean, good opportunity to sell Ridley. Like now that the stock kind of goes up a little bit, I guess. I mean, would it have been better for him to stay his stock better for him to stay with Trevor Lawrence or now go to
absolutely.
Because then there was always the Kirk thing too, right? Kirk is getting the work, right?
Yeah, but
now
Ridley
is
still
he
had
more
1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns in Jacksonville, and that was with a really weird offense.
That's true. That's
last
true.
year. So, but listen, Ridley's 29, man. He's not 26 anymore or 25.
You know what else I want to talk about? Because it's been obviously we're getting closer to the draft here. The draft picks, right?
Mm-hmm.
it is almost impossible to get into the top 5 of this year's rookie draft. Nobody is willing to move like any of those picks. Any of those picks, basically in the top 5. I have not been able to get into the top 5. I've just seen it's been very hard to like almost more than ever before um with this draft that's coming up. So I've been able to get some late ones. It hasn't cost like a ton, but if you're trying to get into that mid first, it is just costing you way too much
Why do you what do you think the reasoning is behind that?
because you've got these 3 crazy wide receivers that people are going crazy for, right? I mean, it's like they've already hit before they've even already played, and they're just gonna have that. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. That protection where we know like that Drake London, that JSN, like we know how good they are. Like even if they go into a bad situation or don't have like a great season, we're still going to value them particularly high, as
Mm-hmm.
to where the quarterback's not so much, right? There's a lot more drastic fall off, from if they play good or not. Obviously, we've seen Bryce Young now into, into the 20s of QB rankings almost. And he was what our, QB, 10, 12 coming in as a rookie. So, and that's the other thing. Those wide receivers, they're getting that. There's a word I'm looking for, and I can't fucking. That just is that protection. Like, I don't know.
It's I guess because as we get and listen, as we get closer to the draft, we've seen that the picks become more valuable. But I think because it's such a quarterback top heavy draft, that's why a lot of people
That's
are
true.
kind of, holding off on those picks and maybe waiting to the last minute to see what they could get. Because there's gonna be people that are going to on draft day go crazy and maybe do
Hmm.
things that they normally wouldn't do to move up and get a draft pick, get into that top 5 as you're saying.
Yeah. I don't think people are excited about the QBs this year. I think it's the wide receivers. Like people
That
are just
too.
not as excited for the QBs this season because then now you realize also like, you know, we talked about it a little bit earlier, right? Nobody wants to get burned, and now you're talking about 2 quarterbacks that are not gonna go to the greatest situations.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, even more so, like, those wide receivers are just getting pushed up, and we talked about it last week where, it could very well go Caleb, the 3 wide receivers, and then the quarterbacks in rookie drafts, like,
True.
so it's very, it's interesting. It's different this year,
Very true.
you know? So you could say it's like one of the best like classes or like I mean picks basically 1 through 7, maybe
Mhm.
8, maybe even 9 if these QBs or all these QBs go in the first round. Like I mean the whole first round is going to be so we'll see what happens, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, guys, throw any last questions you guys have up there before we get up out of here. Appreciate everybody coming out. You got anything you want to add, Hammer?
Nah, man, it was a good show. I feel like a lot of that news kind of has been trickling in, especially that secondary type news that we didn't get to last week with all the major free agent signings and stuff like that. So, still some big things happening. Obviously we waiting for the draft about a month away, roughly 4 or 5 weeks. So
Mhm.
super excited to see how that starts playing out. Obviously, with the pro days coming up as well, there's going to be a bunch of those pro days happening. So we'll see, get some more
There were
information
some
on
already,
these,
yeah. There were
on
some
these.
already. My boy Troy Franklin fixing
My
himself up.
boy,
I think we talked
my
about that
boy.
last week. Apparently he was sick at the combine, but at the pro day, apparently he was a lot better. So I mean, I don't know. Take what you may of it, but I'm not really pushing him as far down as some other people are. I still really like Troy Franklin, but insurance, reassurance, okay, yeah. Should I try and flip Gabe Davis for a second? Oh yeah, I'll take anything. I mean,
You
it's a
can't,
start date. You're never playing Gabe Davis, to be
you
fair.
can't, you can't ask Steve to anything Gabe Davis. He's going the other way. That's just automatic. That's automatic. He's always going the opposite route of what Gabe Davis is. every single
Oh,
time.
man. I mean, to be fair, I don't know if you could even get that right now, but if you wait till the right time, wait till he has that big game, week 1 or 2 or 3, and then, maybe try and move him there. I don't know.
I would tend to
I don't
agree
think
with
he's
that.
startable in your format anyway, so I'll take what I can get. Yeah. All right, guys, we out of here. We'll see y'all next week. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Hopefully we hit on most of the news and everything the last week or two. So, but yeah, we'll see y'all next week at 10 Eastern.
Go Pack, go.
No, fuck the pack.